Hi and welcome to this video where I show you how I create two simple soft pastel bouquet backgrounds in der Natur or Botanicum by Maria Trolle. If you are new to this channel, hi, my name is Ina. If not, welcome back. First, I start with this spring-themed portrait at the beginning of the book, and I tape off a frame with washi tape. A few leaves will end up sticking out beyond the frame, but that always makes it more interesting. With the frame taped off, there isn't that much background left. Here I use a sturdy plastic cover sheet on which I scrape the soft pastels. I use a light and a dark green and two different shades of blue. Then I have two pieces of a makeup sponge, which I use to spread and work the color into the paper. I first scrape a little of each color onto my plastic sheet and then pick it up with the sponges. I start with just a little of each color, so I don't have any left over. And if it's not enough, I can always add more. Now I first start with the green in the lower area and then move upward into the blue. I use both shades of green and place them randomly so that it doesn't look too uniform, but a bit more natural. As you can see, some of it gets onto the motif as well, but it can be easily erased later. And in the spots where there are green leaves anyway, you can just leave it and color over them. For the blue soft pastel, I use the blue sponge, so that I don't accidentally bring any green into the sky. This sponge is already starting to fall apart a bit, because I've used it so often. But the crumbs can be blown away easily. At some point, I need to take a new sponge or a piece of one. Now I have a circle stencil with different sized circles and my electric eraser. And I will erase the bouquet circles. I try to place the circles randomly, both in terms of size and location. It always looks nice if some circles are slightly cut off, whether at the edge or from the motif. In some spots I use the lighter tone, in this case the lighter green, to tint the bouquet circles. To better reach the edge of the stencil, I use a small brush. I just make as many dots as I like. Of course, you can do it however you want. Now I clean the motif with the electric eraser. And as I said, I leave the areas that will be green anyway in green. The important spots are where the light colors will go later, like the skin or the light blossoms. The background is now very subtle, which I like a lot, since the picture itself will be colorful enough. But of course, you can create a bouquet background any way you want, and also use stronger colors. Then the circles you erase can be also recolored with a lighter shade. For example, if you use a very dark green, you can use a lighter one for the circles, or even several different tones. Then I thought a few circles were missing in some spots, so I added them. And I made a few very small circles directly with the electric eraser, without the stencil. Then I used a fan brush to gently remove all the crumbs from the erasing, and then gave some of the circles a bit of color. Now comes the most satisfying part, removing the washi tape. Here you can see the first finished background up close. I like it very much, but as I said, you can make it stronger if you want. Before I start coloring the page with colored pencils, I spray it once with a fixative, so that I don't smudge the soft pastels later. Now I have another page from the same book, this one with the strawberries, the hedgehog and the butterfly. Here, in addition to my no-name soft pastels, I also used one from Jaxel, namely dark sap green. I scraped this color directly onto the page. I also add an ochre tone, which I scraped directly onto the page as well. This way, the colors blend as I spread them with a sponge. Next, I use another color from Jaxel, dark emerald green. Here too, I scrap the soft pastel pigments directly on the paper, along with the no-name soft pastels. The green tones I already used on the previous page. Then I spread it all out and work it into the paper. My plan was initially to make the upper area blue, but while working on the background, I decided on yellow and pink instead. Here too, the sponges start to fall apart a bit. You simply have to replace them after some time. But you can also use makeup brushes that are bound fairly tightly. Now I darken the lower area a bit more. Then I used my circle stencil and the electric eraser again and do the same as before. In between, it's a good idea to remove the little eraser crumbs from time to time, so you can better see where something is still missing. Here I also use the light green to color some of the circles that are in darker areas. And again, I use the electric eraser without a stencil for the small circles. Then I begin to cleanly erase the motif. Here too, the green color can remain on the leaves and stems. Now I just pull off the washi tape and the second background is finished. I didn't erase the little strawberries completely clean, for example, because I want to color them as unripe strawberries, and the green tone doesn't bother me. I did go over some areas again later with the electric eraser, when I looked at the picture without the camera. And of course, I also sprayed this page with fixative again. Here you can see the whole thing up close again. I hope the video was informative for you and helped you with your next bouquet background. Bye and see you next time.